Yes, it does. How about that one? Last night at Fenway Park, did we ever pick a good ball game to send our first winner of our Red Sox ticket sweepstakes presented by Dunnett's Appliance and Service down to? Because Derek from Bangor, along with three friends, was at that game last night at Fenway and saw the Red Sox come back not once, not twice, not thrice, not four times, but 5 times in a row between the 9th and the 13th inning, where they eventually walked it off 12-11 on Caleb Durbin's game-winning hit right there. Welcome into today's program. The Drive brought to you by Next Home Experience, the market leader. I, Mark Paulette, am live in the Greenway Equipment Studios, brought to you by Greenway Equipment Sales. Stop in and see the Smith brothers in Bangor or Ellsworth, where nothing runs like a deer. Jim Churchill is making his way up to Orono, where he is going to join me as part of a University of Maine Athletics remote taking place at Orono Brewing Company, 61 Margin Street right there in Orono. Stop in. It should be a great time. They got some coaches, potentially athletes on site as well. Ben Barr is going to be joining us later this hour. Chris Markwood as well, provided that Jim gets hooked in from up there. Back here in the studio, I'll be talking with Pete Abraham of the Boston Globe. He'll be checking in from Fenway ahead of the weekend series opener with the Athletics. We'll get to some numbers on that in a second, because it is two teams going in two wildly different directions. Drive at 5, in addition to hearing Jim with Chris Markwood, we'll get you some Sox props, Sports Center and weather coming near the bottom of both hours. And in each hour, we'll have the cue to call for that Sox ticket sweepstakes presented by Dunnett's, because we got another drawing coming up on Monday for that next game, August 17th against the Diamondbacks, sending 4 more listeners down to Fenway. The Roast will be pulling out that winning name Monday morning, so make sure to tune in coming up August 10th there on The Roast. But you heard the final call last night. Just another, a complete wild one. Buster Olney called this thing one of the greatest, if not the greatest, regular season games he's ever seen. Struck me as a bit hyperbolic in the moment. I mean, I can certainly think of a couple, like the regular season game against the Yankees in July of 2004. You had the A-Rod Veritek fight. You come back against Mariano Rivera. Bill Miller walks it off by putting a walk-off homer into the Red Sox bullpen. Like, that's a pretty good one. Last night, though, was just a microcosm of what the last 6 to 7 weeks have been with this team that is just a magic carpet ride. There's really no other way to describe it at this point. They are now winners of 26 of the last 29 games. They've rattled off another 8-game win streak, which is just kind of commonplace at this point for the team that just went almost twice as long as that not too long ago. They've won 16 out of 20 at Fenway Park all of a sudden, and they're putting distance between themselves and the playoff field, and now they're chasing down those 2 teams in front of them in the Yankees and the Rays. Just half a game behind the Bronx Bombers are these Boston Red Sox, who have gained 15 games on the Yankees over the last 36 days of baseball. Again, 15 games gained in 36 days of baseball. Basically 1 out of 2. That does not happen in this sport. That's how quickly the Sox have turned it around, and it's because they're an MLB best 34-8 since June 18th, when they were a season worst 14 games under 500. Nothing about this run makes sense. Came completely out of the blue. And now you just kind of have to accept the fact that they are playing like the best team in baseball currently, certainly in the American League. All the prediction markets, Kalshi, the sports books have them up among the favorites. Buster Olney, Jeff Passan, the pundits are kind of telling you the same thing. Again, we're just entering the dog days of August here, so there's still a bit remaining in the regular season, let alone before we get to October. But my God, I don't know how to make any sense of it. I really don't, because the numbers don't make much sense. And then when you look at that Red Sox record since June 18th at 34-8 that they're bringing into tonight's ball game, you look at the team on the other side, in the other dugout tonight, the Sacramento A's started off the season pretty decent. They had a good lineup. They were 38-38 on June 18th when the Red Sox were 14 games under 500. That same A's team has won just 7 out of 39 times since then. So while the Red Sox are an MLB best 34-8 since June 18, the A's are an MLB worst 7-32 since that same date. That is a 180 winning percentage over the stretch. Hasn't been pretty for Sacramento. It has been all roses for the Red Sox. Let's hope they keep that going this weekend at Fenway. Again, first pitch tonight, 7:10, the pregame takes over at 6:10. Peyton Tolley gets the ball, 6-6, 3.30 is his ERA this season. Going up again against a man by the name of Jack Perkins, 2-7, 6.72 is his ERA. It has been something to behold here, this Red Sox run of recent. Let's check in with Buster Olney. And Buster's point is basically, what are we waiting for in Boston? Time to remove that interim tag from Chad Tracy. Yes, it has been pretty amazing, Mr. Buster. Now let's head up to Orono, bring in Jim Churchill as he joins the program from Orono Brewing Company up there for a University of Maine Athletics remote. And Jim, those Chad Sox now 53-34 on the season. At what point do we stop talking about removing the interim tag? And, I mean, it might be a little facetious to say at this point because of Kevin Cash and the Rays are like 68-46, but at some point Chad Tracy is going to manage his way into AL Manager of the Year contention, is he not?
Yeah, I mean, just based off his record and based on the massive turnaround for the Red Sox this season, certainly has to be in consideration at least now, barring a collapse here over the final almost 2 months. I don't know. I mean, if you are a Red Sox fan, do you really worry about if Chad Tracy has an interim tag? And wouldn't you feel that maybe if you're into, I don't know, jinxes, that if you take the tag off, something bad happens?
Just keep it going the way it is right now?
Yeah, just keep it going. Ride out the season all the way through the postseason and then deal with it the day after, it ends. And hopefully for him and for Red Sox fans, things continue in that direction, and it'll be a no-doubter.
So this team is now 31-5 in the last 36 games. That's an .861 winning percentage. You put that over 162, and they would be 140-22, just to try to put some perspective on what this run has been.
Yeah, I mean, thus the ebbs and flows of a baseball season. I mean, this is extreme. This is off the charts when it comes to success on the baseball field. But, yeah, again, they've got, what have they got, 50 games, maybe a little bit less than that left to go here. About a quarter of the season left, and they've got this far. They've got to finish strong. They got to get healthier, hopefully.
Yeah, within half a game of the Yankees now, 5 back of Tampa Bay, and of course that lead in the wild card, 5.5 now on Texas because Houston's finally coming alive in that division out west, but 6.5 clear of a playoff spot at this point. You look at the rest of that wild card chase, and it's just a bunch of teams under 500 that are behind them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to how well the Red Sox have played, and again, as Buster only said, they're beating good teams. White Sox leading the Central, they sweep them. They were a bit of a surprise this year, but this whole thing started basically with the sweep of the Yankees, and then we thought maybe it was going to take a turn for the worse, but it certainly has been nothing but up for the Red Sox here recently. So they're beating good teams, and they're doing it with good fundamental baseball that we didn't always see under Alex Cora, and we were wondering why. But the pitching has been outstanding throughout the season, and despite the fact they lost Garrett Crochet, their number one starter, the defense has been much improved. This is kind of what we've been looking for with the Red Sox. We were
sold on over the offseason.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking about in years past, we've been wondering why can't the Red Sox develop pitching, and why can't they bring in impact pitchers? Well, they've done that over the course of the last couple of years, and it's developed into a pretty quality staff, top to bottom. They kept the right coach. I guess out of all the coaches they let go, they kept Andrew Bailey, who was brought here by Craig Breslow, so no surprise. But the defense has been supporting that pitching staff, and the offense, which was the big issue for this team for months, has come to life as well. And hopefully for Red Sox fans, the new acquisitions will just add to that once they can play.
Yeah, and it sounds like Chad Tracy did have a little bit of an update on Adley Rutschman there yesterday, saying that he hit pretty aggressively yesterday. He was out on the field earlier as well yesterday through the bases, whatever that means. I guess he's throwing around the diamond. So quite a bit of baseball activity. He's done some agility work and some running, so he's doing quite a bit. But then he adds, I think we're close. I just don't want to commit to exactly which day that would be. But I mean, by that quote, he's talking days and not weeks, which when the trade was made, it was kind of in question of, is he coming back in the middle of August? Why do you acquire Jake Rogers in the deal? Turns out you actually get to use him last night because they just emptied the entire bench and bullpen in that game, which I think it was the second longest game on record in the pitch clock era. And that really makes you appreciate some of the changes that have come to the game of baseball, because that was one that it just seems like the Red Sox would always have one of those games pop up every week or every 2 weeks, one that just lingers for like 4 hours and 20 minutes. But let's talk about the scene up there in Orono. What's it looking like at OBC for this UMaine remote?
People are gathering here. We've got the prize wheel out once again, all kinds of great University of Maine Black Bear prizes. Got a couple of young Black Bear fans right now going through the various prizes they can win before they make their big spin. Chris Markwood is here, UMaine men's basketball coach, and I see Coach Ben Barr, Maine men's hockey coach, is here as well. And looking forward to our next session here with UMaine Athletics.
Yeah, once again, we'll be hearing from Ben Barr
and very hot, Mark.
Chris Markwood on today's program. Is it a little steamy in there?
It's a little steamy. It's a little sticky here.
Yeah, it's a good day to be in the Greenway Equipment Studios, which is not something that we've ever said for much of this show's history. But this year, we got the AC coming down from the heavens on us.
You are the lucky one today, Mark. But I'm going to have a good time here with the coaches, all kinds of UMaine staff on hand here as well, and patrons of Orono Brewing Company rolling in to enjoy the festivities here tonight. And got a great outdoor setup. If you've never been up here to Orono Brewing Company, 61 Margin Street in Orono, great setup. They got the beer hut across the way and all kinds of picnic tables out. They got some cornhole boards off to my right. Got a stage up there for some live music. So a lot going on here at Orono Brewing Company.
Yeah, stop on by and take part in the action. The Drive brought to you by your local family-owned McDonald's. You can find them on Main Street and Union Street in Bangor, as well as Wilson Street in Brewer. They have extra value meals with extra value when using your McD app in August. You can get a classic Big Mac or Filet-O-Fish extra value meal, only $8 when using your McD app. Also brought to you by UMaine Athletics. This fall, make sure to pack the stands at Alphonse Stadium to cheer on Maine football. Season tickets on sale now, and they give you the best value and the best seats for every home game. Visit goblackbears.com/tickets. We got to take our first time out of today's show, because coming up on the other side of it, back here in the Greenway Equipment Studios, I'll be talking with Pete Abraham live from Fenway up next. Welcome back into the first hour of today's show. The Drive brought to you by Bangor Window Shade and Drapery, offering custom blinds, shades, drapery, and outdoor awnings at 105 Main Street in downtown Bangor. And make sure to be listening at the end of this segment, because we'll be hitting you with the cue to call for our Red Sox ticket sweepstakes presented by Dunnett's Appliance and Service. Derek from Bangor was at the game last night for tickets to Field Box Section 54, Row J. He got to see one of the best regular season games of this season. And we'll have a drawing coming up Monday morning on the Morning Roast for the next date that we're giving out 4 seats to, August 17th against the Diamondbacks. Let's head to the Heroes Hotline now to check in with Pete Abraham from the Boston Globe, talking Red Sox. And Pete, this team has now won 26 of their last 29 times they have stepped on the field. I've kind of run out of things to say about it, just how remarkable it is. Trying to rack my brain of similar runs, at least recently. The Cleveland, I think it was still then Indians, had that run where they set the AL win streak record a few years back. Obviously, Morgan Magic going back a ways in this franchise's history. The 2019 Nationals that were able to turn it around. But have you ever seen anything quite like what these Red Sox are going through right now?
You know, the one thing that I can compare it to a little bit was the 2013 team. You know, coming off of the last place finish in 2012 and, you know, kind of a disastrous season under Bobby Valentine. There were no expectations for that team coming into 13. And then, you know, they signed a bunch of sort of like medium price free agents. And I guess the idea was just to have like a competitive season in 13. And they went on to win the World Series. And that season, you know, had so many memorable things that happened with, you know, the way the team responded to the marathon bombings and all of the different, you know, the way that World Series game that ended on the walk-off obstruction call in St. Louis, like all of these crazy different things that happened, and they ended up winning the World Series. And I always thought I'll never experience, another season like that as a writer. There were just so many crazy things that happened. And this season, I think, is starting to surpass that. And not that, I think they're necessarily going to win the World Series, but this team was over and done at the end of June. They had the worst record in the American League in the final week of June. And now they have the third best record in the American League. It's incredible.
It is. Just half a game behind the Yankees in the division, just 5 back of Tampa Bay now atop the American League. And you listen to national people like Jeff Passan, Buster Olney, they're talking about the Red Sox making a play for the pennant coming up here over the next couple of months. How are they doing it? Apart from just the bats waking up, what has been most key in your eyes to this turnaround?
Well, it's pitching. They've had good pitching all year, and it's been exceptional since the end of June. And to me, that's been the biggest thing, is they have a chance to win every game because their pitching has kept them in games. And, they're able to win a game when they only score 4 runs. And, they're not the kind of team that needs to hit a bunch of home runs to win a game. And to me, that's been the biggest thing. The bullpen has been very good with Chapman at the back and Whitlock in the 8th inning and the other, Slayton and the other guys they've had late in games. They've all been among the best guys in the game. So, yeah, to me, this has all been a big product of how good the pitching is.
We've had a couple days to digest it all, but I want to get your thoughts on the trade deadline. We'll start off with the biggest deal of them all, Adley Rutschman. How do you feel both about the price paid and the player that was brought to town?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with Rutschman because, he arrives on the injured list and he's not going to be able to play for, probably at least another week or 10 days. And then he's under contract for next year, but you don't know how long, how many games there's going to be next year because of the impending, the lockout, the potential of a strike. There's at least, I think a pretty decent chance MLB could miss games next year because of a labor issue. So do you want to have given up, the quality of the prospects that you did? And, who knows how many games you'll get out of them. So the Red Sox are taking a little bit of a risk, perhaps a big risk in doing that, bringing in Rutschman. But if he gets on the field in the next week or so, he gives you a switch hitting catcher who's an excellent defender and has a chance to hit for some power. He's done that in the past. I think, in just talking to him a little bit the last couple of days, he seems to be, I don't know if energized is not the word, but, he seems very excited about the idea of coming to a contending team, to coming to Fenway Park, a place where he's always liked to play, and to work with this pitching staff too. And he had a great reputation in Baltimore for being the guy, before games when they would talk about game plans and how they were going to attack other teams' hitters. He had he was like the leader of the Baltimore staff in that regard. And they had a lot of respect for the way he went about planning for games. And I think that's something the Red Sox pitchers are really going to embrace.
Craig Breslow went on WEEI on the Greg Hill Show a couple of days ago to talk about the trade deadline. He was asked about moving Marcelo Meyer, also some of the just crazy rumors that populate social media and online, and Craig shot all those down as nonsense, stating basically that it was a baseball move. He tried to better the team, just like he did with the other moves that he made around the deadline. So my question to you, Pete, is what ultimately happened to Marcelo Meyer? Why didn't it work out in Boston with him from, number 4 overall pick, all the years we heard about him coming, and then it just never stuck, never took?
Yeah, well, I think a big part of it was his health. He dealt with a lot of injuries. He still has yet to play more than 91 games in a professional season since he was drafted. Going back to his time in the minors, he's never been able to get through a full season. And at some point, that becomes an issue. As good as a guy potentially may be, if he's not available for, a huge chunk of the season, then that really obviously cuts down on his value. And that was a big issue with Marcelo. And meanwhile, Franklin Arias has kind of surpassed him as a guy you look at as a shortstop of the future. They've had other guys come up and, whether it's Monasterio or Anthony Sigler, being able to contribute to the big league team. And it seemed like every time Marcelo got started, something would happen to kind of short circuit his progress. And, he's only 24. It's not like you can give up on him, but at some point you're either going to kind of live through it and hope that he figured out a way to stay on the field, or you're going to try to trade him while he still had some value. And they felt like now was the time to trade him.
Because you brought up his name right there, Franklin Arias, he just recently jumped up to number 2 on Baseball America's prospect rankings. Through 10 games at Worcester, he's hitting .326, 3 homers, 12 RBI. That's after batting .318, 1952 in Portland. I'm curious how you personally would handle that situation the rest of this way with the lockout looming next year and the implications there if you were to add him to the 40-man ahead of time. If you were running the Red Sox and it was your move to either bring up Arias or hang on to him to next year, how do you do it, Pete?
Well, I don't think you can kind of base your decisions for what's right for the team right now on, well, what if there's a lockout next year? How's that going to affect them? I mean, this is a guy who will be a good player, even if if he can't get on the field for, say, a month or two next year. That's not going to change the trajectory of his career. He's still going to be a good player. So I don't know that you can make decisions based on, what you don't know is going to happen in, whatever it may be, 4 months or 5 months. So I think you need to take that out of it. To me, this is a lot like what happened with Xander Bogaerts in 2013. They needed an infielder at the end of the season. He was the best guy available. He was lighting it up in Portland, and he was lighting it up with what was Pawtucket at the time. And he proved to be a very important guy for them in the playoffs that year. Ended up starting most of the World Series games. He played third base and became one of their centerpiece players for a long time. And that is kind of, I think that's what Arias looks like to me, is a guy who is showing them that whether it's, sometime in the beginning, near the beginning of September or, whenever it may be, this is a guy who could be part of the regular mix.
On the topic of potential work stoppage coming up in 2027, what are you hearing along those lines? And as a second part to the question, do you think that baseball needs a salary cap, or maybe do you think they need a salary floor?
Well, in terms of what I'm hearing, it's sort of become ridiculous. Like the league will make a proposal and they'll leak it out to different people in the media, and then within 5 minutes, the union puts out a release saying what a terrible proposal it is, and this will never work. And then a week later, the union puts out a proposal what they want to do, and surprisingly enough, it completely benefits the players. And then the league puts out a proposal saying that's a terrible thing. We would never do that. So there's a lot of rancor right now between the two sides, which is to be expected, and obviously neither side is making their best proposal at this point. I mean, you're not going to hear about, they're not going to get serious about this until January. And with all of the success baseball has had over the last year, the increases in attendance and viewership and younger demographics and all of the good things that have happened, the WBC was captivating, in March. It would be so foolish to put us, kind of bring that to a halt with a work stoppage. And the owners have never been able to get a salary cap. The union basically exists to prevent a salary cap. And I can't see any way that members of the union would agree to a salary cap. I think they would be willing to go on strike to try to keep that from happening. And then it becomes a question of to what degree do the owners want to kind of throw away all the momentum their sport has by trying to, hold out as long as they can and basically impose a salary cap. And I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope they figure out another way to make the revenue more fair for the smaller market teams, figure out some formula that doesn't include a salary cap. But I don't know. I'm not smart enough to tell you how they could do that, but somebody's going to have to figure out a way to do that.
What's hurting the game more right now in your mind? A team like the Dodgers acting, according to the rules, just blowing the economics out of the water, or the teams at the bottom of the league that maybe aren't spending to a certain level that you have to contend truly each season?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about this last week. I think I blame teams like the Pirates and the Guardians than I do the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing their very best to try to win games, and people spend a lot of money to go to Dodger Stadium, to park, to buy tickets, to buy concessions, and the Dodgers reward those fans by doing everything they can do to try to win the World Series. And can you say that of I think you should be able to say that about every team, that they're doing the best they can to win the World Series. But how many teams can you really say that about? I mean, I think the Mets are, even though it hasn't worked. I think the Yankees are. The Red Sox have at times. They haven't at others. And to me, with the money that's available in baseball, and I think part of the reason the game has been so successful over the last couple of years, the World Series last year was compelling, and the Dodgers were in the World Series. Shohei Ohtani is a compelling player. The Dodgers bought him over from the Angels with a humongous contract. You look at the television ratings, the games that the Dodgers play on national TV get great ratings. I think they're really good for baseball. And I did a little, some brief research looking at the attendance. The Pirates drew 15,000 more people than they had averaged when the Dodgers were in town. It's the same thing for almost every other team. That opposing teams make a ton of money when the Dodgers come to town, and I would wonder how, if it would be possible to quantify just how much money the Dodgers make for other teams, and is that something you want to throw away by saying, okay, everybody's not going to try as hard as they can to win the World Series. They'll only try 65% as hard as they want to, to try to win the World Series. Let's see if that makes the game better. I don't really see how that would make the game better.
Yeah, it's a great point. It'd be an interesting study just to see how much their popularity is impacting those other teams via revenue sharing like you're talking about. To kind of put a bow on this conversation, bringing it back to the Red Sox, I'm just curious to hear what you're hearing along the lines of Roman Anthony, Garrett Crochet, and what their potential roles could be this season, if you expect them to have any roles the rest of the way this season.
Yeah, I do expect Roman will have some kind of role. He's been swinging a bat now. It seems a little strange that they've sort of sentenced him to Fort Myers, and I don't know why they haven't brought him back at this point. But he is swinging a bat. He's taking batting practice off a pitcher, and that's sort of the path that leads you to getting in minor league games and then being ready for the big league team. Crochet at this point is not even throwing to a catcher. He's basically throwing a ball into a net from 50 or 60 feet to just kind of get his arm moving again. So that's a long, long way away from being able to start a major league game. I think the only way that he could help this team this year would be to come back as a reliever and get to a point where he could give them, 20 pitches in a relief appearance, over an inning, and help them, at the end of September or in the playoffs if they make the playoffs. I don't see how he could build himself up to throwing 100 pitches at this point. I mean, we're well into August, and he's not even, throwing to a catcher. So, that I don't see how they could get him to a point where he could start.
Yeah, it is. It's getting late early here. August 7th, entering the dog days of summer, and the Red Sox peaking like we haven't seen recently. 26 out of 29, 8 in a row, which is kind of lost in all of this winning recently. Like, ho-hum, they got another 8-game win streak. Just add that up. Pete, we always appreciate the time you take for us here. Enjoy the baseball this weekend, and we'll make sure to follow along your coverage.
Great. Thanks for having me.
He's Pete Abraham of the Boston Globe, joining us there on the Heroes Hotline. This first hour of the drive brought to you in part by Premium Choice Broadband. They're local, family-owned, and bringing affordable high-speed internet to Maine for over a decade. You can call or email and mention PCB the Ticket to get one free month for new or residential customers. Visit PremiumChoiceBroadband.com for details. Also brought to you by Dean's Detailing, the leader in auto detailing for over 55 years. Renew your vehicle's appearance, protect your auto investment, look good and feel good in a clean, shiny car. Book your appointment at deansdetailing.com. And if you're stuck on the side of the road, Union Street Towing has you covered 24/7 and statewide. From breakdowns to lockouts, they'll get you moving fast. Driven to be there when you need them the most. Just give them a call, 942-4200. That is Union Street Towing. Coming up right now, we get a sports center and a weather forecast, and then we ship it back to Jim at Orono Brewing Company. He'll be joined by Ben Barr, methinks, in the next segment here on The Drive.
Welcome back to The Drive here on this Friday afternoon. Great to have you with us here on Maine Sports Leader. The Drive brought to you in part by Bangor Mall Cinemas, Greater Bangor's favorite hometown theater. For over 40 years, Bangor Mall Cinemas features luxury recliners and an upgraded food menu. Find show times and reserve your seat at your neighborhood theater.com. Also brought to you by Fat Panda Boba Tea and Market on Harlow Street in Bangor, next to Goslin's Bakery. Sip fresh boba, explore snacks, ramen, and their tasty Jamaican patties. Also brought to you by Casella. Good pay, good people, good life. Find your place at powerofhardwork.com. Jim Churchill back in Orono here at Orono Brewing Company. Mark Paulette in the Greenway Equipment Studios. And I have a special guest to my right, UMaine men's basketball coach Chris Markwood, who is sweating just like I am.
Yes.
It is
nice and hot today. I'm not complaining, though. I like the warm weather.
Yes, indeed. And we just had a little waft of breeze pass through our broadcast station here. It felt awful good, but it didn't last long. So, Coach Markwood, we were talking a little bit off air. The summer overall, been a good one for you?
Yeah, it has. We're about 5 weeks in through summer school right now with our group. Been going strong and hard here for a while. They got one more week left, and then they'll go home for a little bit of a break. So it's been busy. It's been a whirlwind. The summer's always a whirlwind for us because we're also tied up with recruiting. So we're traveling a good part of July as well. So it all happens at the same time. But It's been good. It's been a good start to the season for next year, and looking forward to kind of seeing what we can put together.
You mentioned the educational part of the summer. What does the summer look like for the Black Bear men's basketball team?
Yeah,
what are they working on?
Yeah, our guys are coming in July 4th weekend. We start summer school. A lot of our guys will take 1 to 2 classes throughout a 6-week stretch. And then, while they're here taking classes, we're able to be on the court with them. We split 8 hours up between the court and the weight room. So so it's just a great time. It's always been a great time in terms of, culture and building the camaraderie and all that. Now even more so in this landscape where you're getting a lot of new guys each year. It's really important in terms of getting the year off to a good start and building that foundation before you get into the preseason when they come back for the fall semester.
You mentioned the turnover, and that's just part of the deal these days. We'll talk a little more about that here in a moment, but as far as familiar faces, who you got coming back?
Yeah, we got a really good group coming back. Obviously, a big part of last year was a couple of our key injuries, but Darius Lopes is back healthy and practicing right now.
Great.
He's been going live all practice here for the last week, which has been really good to see. Talented kid who we have really high expectations for, and was a tough loss for us last year. Killian Gribbin's back as well, a guy who played a big role for us 2 years ago and missed all last year. So we get both of those guys back off injury. Killian's progressing rapidly. He's not back to live yet, but he's getting close. And then obviously Ace Flagg is back. Really excited about the jump he could make off of a very strong freshman year. We're bringing back Giannis Bamba as well, who played a good role for us last year, dealt with some injuries. That was one of the many injuries we had. He got hurt in the first Vermont game and missed a stretch where he was starting to play good basketball. So bringing him back. Caleb Crawford, who played a big role for us last year too, will be back. So we got a good group. I'm probably missing 1 or 2. Emmett Byther's back as well. So I think we brought back 6 or 7 guys. Mm-hmm. Then we added.
You named 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we added 8. We got 8 newcomers. We got 5 transfers and 2 freshmen and a walk-on.
Talk about the freshman recruits coming in.
Yeah, really excited about our. We got 3 freshmen. First one's Wesley Waddles. Is actually a kid from L.A., from Los Angeles, but was going to prep school in New England at New Hampton Prep, which is a very prestigious, both academic and basketball prep school in New Hampshire. He's like a 6'5", 6'6" wing, really skilled, really good feel, really shoots the basketball. I think fits a major need for us. Had a great year in the NEPSAC last year, which is one of the better prep leagues in the country. So we expect big things from him, and I think he's a guy that can have an impact as a freshman. He's off to a really good start this summer. Hudson Franz is a point guard, combo guard, coming from Oklahoma, actually. Out near the Oklahoma City area, Edmond, Oklahoma. Yeah, really, really good player too. Another kid we're really high on. I think he's going to work his way into the rotation as a freshman. Really skilled, high IQ, tough. Just helps you win basketball games. Our type of guard. Great IQ. And then we got a familiar name. The Bedard last name lives on up here now.
There you go.
Caden Bedard is joining us too. That's Andy's son. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Tough kid, really works hard, and he joined us late, but excited to have him and the family aboard for sure.
Talk about the dynamics of a kid from near Oklahoma City making his way to Maine. How did that process play out?
It's interesting. I mean, it's more. It happens a lot more now, just with the recruiting landscape. The AAU circuits, they're more national now, so we go to multiple events throughout the summer. A lot of them are led by shoe companies, Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, and when you go to these shoe events, there's teams from all over the country. You're watching a lot of the teams from New England or the East Coast that you're familiar with, but you're going to stumble upon teams from all over the place. And both of our freshmen are from out of region. Both were actually on the Puma circuit where we saw them, and Yeah, that's just kind of how it happened. I saw Hudson play in an event down in Texas last summer. Started to recruit him right after I watched him play. Was really impressed. I just felt he fits exactly what we're about. And fortunately, he chose to come here over some other schools. So really excited about what he brings to the table.
And we've talked about it before, off air, on air, quite a bit over the last couple of years. But just the transfer portal. First of all, any losses this year in the portal?
Yeah, we lost a couple guys, from last year's group. Logan Carey, who had been with us for 3 years, has moved on to St. Joe's down in Philadelphia. Obviously, was a big part of our program, was with us for 3 years. In this landscape, they're still our guys. We love them, and we wish them the best. It's just kind of the nature of the beast now. Keelan Steele graduated from us. He did 4 years with us. He still had a year, potentially 2 years of eligibility. So he kind of tested the waters a little bit with that and ended up at Mercer down in Georgia.
Okay.
And then Amari Allen was with us for a couple of years. He went to Stonehill. And then Isaac Bonilla, I think is the last one. He went down to AIC in Springfield, so Division II school in the NE10.
Yep. So transfer portal, obviously it's a tough situation for a lot of schools, especially schools like the University of Maine. I mean, you're right in the middle of the vice, so to speak, where other teams are trying to possibly take players away that you've developed, and you're battling a lot of schools and programs that aren't in the state of Maine. We're the furthest outpost, Division I, in the country, in the Northeast. And just talk about that battle that goes on, that rages on year after year.
Yeah, it's just reality now. It's you have to adapt to it. It doesn't matter if you're University of Maine or if you're North Carolina. Like, everybody's dealing with the portal in some form or shape, or just obviously there's some different issues that we're all dealing with at different levels, but everybody's kind of trying to figure it out, figure out what works best for them, try to figure out some sort of structure within the chaos that can help you stay consistent. But it's just reality now. You're going to lose some guys every year, especially now that the money is.
There's money involved.
Yeah, now that the money is involved, it's just natural. You can't pay everybody what they want. So even some guys that would like to stay but they want more money, they're going to try to find more somewhere else. Or it's at every angle you're going to lose some guys and you're going to have to bring in new guys. So it's figuring out, kind of what within this chaotic landscape, is there a system that we can kind of figure out? Obviously, you want to keep guys as long as you possibly can. I think continuity is still going to be, one of the major factors in success. And you got to figure out how you can do that at whatever school you're at, definitely here at University of Maine. But then also you're going to lose guys, so you got to figure out, how are you going to replenish the roster too with the right type of guys. And then once you finally put the group together on paper, then it's all about, molding them and in a really rapid pace, trying to get them ready for a season to be able to win games start in November.
Right. You mentioned continuity. One thing you've had is continuity on your coaching staff. Is that still the case?
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
wow.
We got everybody back.
Hey, I got to give you a pat on the back. That's not easy.
No, I mean, I feel very blessed and fortunate. We got excellent staff, older guys, experienced guys that have been through it. And I think because they are older and experienced, they really enjoy being here in this community, and we work really well together. And I think we've tried to build an environment and a culture in our locker room that guys really enjoy being here with our staff. So hopefully that continues.
Schedule. Talk about the non-conference schedule. Obviously, it prepares you for what matters most, the conference schedule.
Yeah.
But I took a peek at it a while ago. It looks pretty balanced.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Jim, we try to challenge ourselves every year with the non-conference. We had a really tough one last year, a lot of good teams. I don't think this is going to be very similar. Obviously we always play a few higher-level teams, so this year we're opening up at Providence with the new coach who's done a tremendous job at the other schools he's been at. That'll be a great challenge to start the year. We're also playing UMass and URI, for the first time since we've been here. It's good to get some of those regional, A10 level teams. Although UMass is in the Midwest MAC now, but I think it's big for University of Maine to be playing those schools.
Yeah, one of the biggest wins that I remember doing was a trip in Amherst. Ted Woodward was still coaching back then.
I think I was playing in that game. Or I might have been
coaching.
coaching. I was coaching on that team.
But it was a big-time win.
So we got those 3 in New England, and then we are going out. We're going out of region to play DePaul. That's kind of our only major trip out of region this year in terms of higher-level games. And then
that's big. I don't want to cut you off, but I remember talking with you at the end of, I think it was a 6-game road trip.
Yeah.
And, you could just feel, I think we might have been in Ohio.
Yeah, it was a tough trip.
You could just feel the weariness in that locker room.
Yeah, we've had some, as you know, you mentioned it, because of our location, just, we had grown at a good rate our first 3 years here. And when you do that, it's not always as easy to get games. So, and the upcoming schedule is typically based off where you finished the year before, and we had a really good group 2 years ago, and our schedule was built for a group like that.
Yep.
And you get the injuries and everything, and a couple guys go in the portal, you have a different team, and but yeah, for this year to be able to only really be leaving the East Coast one time for us is a first, and looking forward to that. But we have those games there where we're going to really challenge ourselves up a little bit, and then still playing a really tough kind of East Coast mid-major schedule like we've always done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're America East top. A lot of these games are going to be, they would be top half America East teams. A lot of the same teams we played: the Quinnipiacs, the Browns. Boston University again. A lot of those. We have a new challenge with the America East in the Metro Conference now. So we get 2 more games against the Metro, against the East Coast MAC. So we'll get Sacred Heart in that, and we're also playing Manhattan up here at home. It's going to be another challenging non-conference schedule. It will be the most home games we've had in the non-conference since I've been here. I think we got 5 home games in the non-conference, which will be nice.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but
it's a lot more than
relative.
2. Yeah, it's a lot more than 2, and they're against good teams too. We're playing good teams at home, so I think it'd be great for our fans and crowd and community to come out and support in those games. And hopefully we can get off to a great start and kind of catapult us into league play.
Yeah, one thing we talked about off air was the construction, that exciting, inspirational construction that's happening at the south end of Alphonse Stadium and just outside of Memorial Gymnasium. And I hadn't seen it for a couple months, but you tell me the framing, the steel is going up.
Yeah, it's going up fast. I mean, they had laid the foundation, and then all of a sudden you saw the elevator shafts. Those were put up.
That's a lot. I did see that.
They were standing up there alone for a little while. And then literally, over the last 2 weeks, they got the whole side closest to Memorial Gym already started to be framed. So it's going up fast. It started during our camp week, and then already now they've made a lot of progress in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So it's exciting to see, just because you're watching it grow from the initial plans to actually physically happening is pretty wild. It's the first time in my career I've actually been at a school where it's happened in front of me, so it's cool to see.
And it's got to go fast because we're planning on it here in the very, very near future.
We need it. We love the pit, but it's going to be a nice addition for sure.
Yeah, be a nice practice.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go. Sure. All right. Hey, Chris, we appreciate you taking some time for us here today. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Good luck with the team as you head into the fall. We'll be here before you know it.
All right, Jim. Thanks a lot.
All right. Chris Markwood, UMaine men's basketball coach, joining us here on The Drive. We're coming to you live from Orono Brewing Company, 61 Marchant Street in Orono. Stop on by. I think we're going to get a chance to talk with at least one owner of Orono Brewing Company coming up here. We'll also check in with Ben Barr, UMaine men's hockey coach as well. The Drive brought to you by Natural Lawn of America. If you want a greener, healthier lawn without harsh chemicals, Natural Lawn of America can help. Organic-based care and tick ranger protection. Call 721-0600 or visit naturallawn.com/Bangor-ME for naturally healthier lawns. Drive is also brought to you by Dean's Detailing, the leader in auto detailing for over 55 years. Renew your vehicle's appearance, protect your auto investment, look good and feel good in a clean, shiny car. Book your appointment at deansdetailing.com. And we're brought to you by Novus Auto Glass. Call Novus Auto Glass today at 945-6688 to get your windshield repaired or replaced. All right, we will take a time out. We'll come back. Oh, Mark, we've got something coming up relatively early in the Drive at 5.
And right now.